This is the Paltalk News Network.
The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments. Whether you agree with yours truly or not, no retribution. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Let me be the first to, well, I'm probably not the first, but let me, for the first time, wish you in the new year, Happy New Year. Those of you who joined us here on the Paltalk News Network at 11:30 till about 12:30 or 1 a.m. Eastern Time on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, got to join with all of us to watch the ball drop together. What a great party that was. We had a wonderful time doing that. I just want to remind you that coming this Thursday at 8 o'clock, Michelle Granger will be on Make It Pro TV. She is the outstanding gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist, softball pitching sensation with the lowest ERA of anybody you'd ever meet, male or female, professional or amateur. You know how we give away those Paltalk upgrades? If you go to Make It Pro TV and register, well, now if you go on her wall and include a creative use of Make It Pro TV, that's Michelle Granger's wall at Make It Pro, you are going to be in the running for autographed softballs and personal photos. Selected people who post questions on Michelle's wall for Thursday's interview will be getting a softball that's signed by Michelle Granger. Some of them will get pictures signed by Michelle Granger. How about that? Pretty cool. I want to remind you once again to go to the Paltalk News Network site often, paltalknewsnetwork.com. Because there are stories there that you may or may not see, hear, or read in the mainstream media, including a video of the shootout at a Las Vegas courthouse today. It sounds like a huge firefight. One of the jurors walked out and pulled his cam out as the shooting started. And all you hear are shots, 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 shots. And people are just driving through the area as if nothing was happening. Maybe it's common for people to be firing off guns in Vegas. I don't know. Unfortunately, some guy walked into the courthouse, shot a U.S. Marshal, shot a security guard dead, and then when he left, the shootout ensued that we have video of on the site, and he was shot dead by the authorities. They're trying to determine the motive on that now. Well, that kind of dovetails into today's story. You may or may not know about this. It's fairly common, well-known news now. Yesterday, at Newark International Airport in Newark, New Jersey, some guy strayed in through the exit to the corridor in Terminal C, circumventing the screening process. Long story short, everybody was frozen, nobody in, nobody out, including those on the planes on the tarmac or at the gates. They spent 2.5 hours looking for this guy who it subsequently was determined left. And, but at that moment they didn't know that. They had to send everybody out of the terminal. They had to do a sweep of the terminal to make sure there were no weapons left behind. And then they had to rescreen everybody, a process that took an additional 7 hours. Totally upsetting air travel. Not just on the Eastern Seaboard, but because it's a continental hub throughout Continental Airlines system. Now, look, they put one guard, TSA screener, who usually sits there reading a book, and if you try to walk in the exit, he or she says, you got to go around the other way, this is an exit only. Well, if somebody doesn't hear and just innocently wanders in, that guard can't leave his or her position, and they're not armed, they can't stop the person. Because if you leave the position, you left it open for a whole flow of people to go in. And so you have what occurred yesterday. Now, I will suggest to you that you don't have to be an expert in airline security to recognize that common sense would suggest that one of those one-way revolving doors that only allow the people out and don't let them back in, set at the end of the corridor, would have saved a lot of problems yesterday. Now, this was a very benign, although it had serious consequences, breach of security. The guy wasn't intent on causing any problems. Can you imagine if 12 armed individuals forced their way through that same portal, forced their way onto a plane that was loading and put a gun to the head of the crew and said, you know, take me up? Could happen extremely easily. Common sense would have prevented what happened yesterday. Common sense would have prevented what had happened on Christmas Day. I can't get enough of this story because I've got to continue to sound the alarm, not because I want to tell our enemies how easy it is to breach our security, but because I want to tell the people who are in charge of security, it's time for you to take common sense measures to protect us. We have two great guests today. In the second half of the show, Joel Lyon from the Israeli government will be here live to talk about what they have successfully done since 1970. There's not been one untoward incident since they started a security campaign that includes profiling, which is like a horrible word to use. But in the first half of the show, I'm so delighted to have longtime international commercial pilot DJ Frost. He has 29 years experience in the air, including many as a captain for U.S. Airways. He flies international routes now from the tip of South Africa to some of those hot spots in the Middle East. He is rated on the Airbus 320, the Boeing 737, 757, 767, along with the MD-11, a graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. DJ Frost, welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network.
Why, thank you, Gary. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And by the way, if any of you have fear of flying and the stress level goes up as a result of all these security breaches and stories such as this, you want to go to Captain Frost's site, flystressfree.com. Did I get that right?
You got it perfectly right. Yeah, I know a lot of people are getting more fears now with all the crazy things going on. So besides being an international pilot, I'm also a hypnotherapist. So I hope have people's lives in my hands when I fly the airplane and when I have my hypnosis sessions.
Can you teach me how to become a hypnotherapist and maybe convince